elle est en place. C'est la poudre.
Tiens, on a découpé une femme en morceaux rue de la bienséance à 2 pas du chat. Tiens, on a découpé une femme...
I am a feminist.
Je vous obsède avec une constance
je ne me suis pas conduit
qui appelle quand même l'admiration.
D'une façon conforme à ce qu'on attend d'une jeune fille d'abord et d'une femme ensuite.
I'm sorry that I didn't become the world's first black classic pianist.
Des femmes artistes, activistes, inspirantes, politiques, des femmes puissantes.
Je crois qu'une femme qui existe dans son temps, à l'intérieur de son temps, n'a pas d'époque, elle marque son époque.
Dans la
Boum.
poudre. I am Lauren Bastide, and today my guest is Assa Traoré.
My brother died because he was black, because his name is Adama Traoré and he comes from an underprivileged neighbourhood.
In La Poudre, I've always liked to invite activist women. Assa Traoré is one of them. One of these women I admire for their battles. I had heard about her story in the media, but I understood the extent of her struggle thanks to a book, Lettres à Adama, a book she wrote with journalist Elsa Vigoureux. Assa Traoré is Adama Traoré's sister. Adama died on the 19th of July 2016 in a police station of the Val d'Oise on the day of his 24th birthday. Ever since, Assa Traoré has been demanding justice. It's crucial that we listen to her. It's a complex legal case, still running. But we have to take a closer look at it. We have to see what is at play here. It's a case about young men condemned by our society and by our police. It's a case about young men who die from this rejection. Hossein Bourras, Amin Bentounsi, Abdoulaye Kamara, Lamine Dieng, Ziyed Benna, Bouna Traoré. I wish I could name them all. The battle Assa Traoré and the families of the victims are fighting is a fight of David against Goliath. Assa, as you will hear, never ceases to go back to this date, to the 19th of July. Even when I ask her about herself, she always goes back to Adama. I'm proud and happy to be able to let you hear her voice today. This episode was first published on December 2017. Assa Traoré, vous avez 32 ans. Assa Traoré, you are 32, you're an educator and one of the leaders of action group Justice for Adama. It was created to demand the truth about the circumstances of Adama Traoré's death on the 19th of July 2016 in a police station of the Val d'Oise, north of Paris. Adama Traoré was your brother. It was its 24th birthday. He was out in Beaumont-sur-Oise, where you live with your family. He was with his brother, Bagui. The police approached them to carry out an identity check, but Adama didn't have his ID with him, so he ran. 5 hours later, you were told he was dead. The police, the witnesses, and the different legal authorities have all given contradictory versions of the events. And since this day, you've devoted to demanding truth for Adama. You often say, no justice, no peace. What do you mean by peace?
Vous n'aurez jamais la paix. De quelle paix vous parlez?
C'est une paix auquel tout le monde a droit,
Well, I mean a peace we're all entitled to which every citizen is entitled in this world, and above all in this republic that claims liberty, equality, fraternity. Today, we all know it. This peace, well, we don't have it. We don't have it because we don't have our full rights. We don't have it because we don't have our proper justice, because there's a certain dignity we're not allowed to have, because my brother's dignity has been spoiled as they try to disguise and turn his murder into a dismissed case. You know, this peace, we won't have it till these policemen responsible for murdering my brother are tried and punished for their crime.
Assa Traoré, moi, ce qui me fascine, c'est la force et le
Assa Traoré, what I admire most about you is the strength and courage you show in leading this battle, or even this war, as you sometimes call it, this fight of David against Goliath. I would like to try to understand where this inner strength comes from. So we will go back in time, if you please, Assa. You were born in Paris, then you spent most of your childhood in Beaumont-sur-Oise. What kind of memories do you have from this time period?
De cette enfance.
On a une enfance Comme tous les autres enfants,
we had a childhood like any other. I mean, Beaumont is a city with trees and parks, large forests and fields. We would go pick up plums and hazelnuts, we would pick up corn in the fields, and this childhood, well, it was turned upside down by what happened on the 19th of July. We all have this feeling that childhood is something beautiful. It's very dreamlike when we think about it. It's when you grow up and end up facing all these institutions that you finally realize that childhood is a beautiful time of your life. And the memories I have, they are all memories I shared with my brothers. I was the eldest at home because the older ones had already left. And
How many siblings do you have?
There's 17 of us, and I was the eldest at home with 6 younger siblings. We all lived together, including Adama, and I raised him in part. My father died when I was still very young. He died when I was 14. Adama was much younger. So they never got to know him, and right away we ended up being responsible of a whole family. I started working very early while still going to school. On weekends and holidays, I would go working in retirement homes, and responsibilities came very fast. I had to keep reasonable and focused. I had to be there for my younger brothers who were still very young. I was much older and... But it was a good childhood. No one forced any part of it upon me. It's always been something I did happily, and to me, it was normal. It was my duty to contribute to my brother's education, because I had known my father and they hadn't. So to me, it was important for them to have a sister close to them, so they could grow up in a good environment. Unfortunately, in our society, well, when you open your eyes and when you grow up, sometimes you get hit hard, and so you feel like you need to protect them even more. But on that day, the 19th of July, we couldn't protect Adama. Unfortunately, he died. He died in dreadful condition in this police station. And when I think about our youth, well, I tell myself, he never met his father. My brothers never met my father. They grew up with all the stigmas that young men from underprivileged neighborhoods carry with them. They're stigmatized from the get-go. They have society's finger pointed at them, and it stayed that way forever.
On va en parler, c'est quelque chose que vous connaissez bien et que vous avez aussi vécu sur le plan.
Yeah, it's something you experienced through your profession, and I'd like to talk about it more later. But first, I'd love to talk about your father. You often talk about him. I feel he's played a major role in your education. He's passed on important values. What values were passed on to you when you were younger? How would the adults talk to you?
There's a lot. Actually, today I know that I'm proud to say that the education my father gave us, I know now that it's a beautiful education and that he passed on a legacy full of love. Because, you know, I have 16 siblings, but not all from the same mother. When my father arrived here from Mali when he was 17, he married 2 white women, Françoise and Elisabeth, with whom he had 7 children, 5 with one and 2 with the other. Then he split up with them and he married my mother, with whom he had 6 children, and my stepmother, with whom he had 3. Even after they split up, he kept the familial bonds, even with his ex-wives. When I was younger, I would go on holidays in Bordeaux with Françoise. When Françoise comes to Paris, she stays with us. Last week, my mother was in Bordeaux and stayed at Françoise. Elisabeth, who married again and had 2 other children with her new husband, doesn't live in Paris, so when she came to look for a job for her children, well, her children stayed over at my father's. That's how we do it in the Traoré family. That's how the Traoré family stays strong, because, you know, to fight a battle like this one and for this long without giving up, well, you have to be strong. The family bonds have to be very powerful.
Exceptionnel.
Extraordinary indeed.
And my father took part in all of this. Really, when we were younger, it was... He would show us, he would show everyone his children were more important than anything. And we knew it. And to him, it was what really mattered. Even to his wives, he would show them that his children were the most important thing. And that's how we grew up. Well, at home, there were no half-brother or half-sister. because to him, his children were his children. We were all on the same level, all brothers and sisters.
Vous dites parfois, je crois que j'ai lu dans votre livre, que
sometimes you say that it's impossible for someone to tell whose mother is whose if they're not close to your family. I think I've read it in your book.
Absolutely. It's really... Adama and I, we don't have the same mother, but if you're not a close relative, you wouldn't know. My older siblings call my mother auntie, and they come to her when they need advice. For my own daughter, who's 9, Françoise drove 600 kilometers to see me at the hospital when I gave birth. That's the Traoré family. It was crucial to my father that his family, his whole family, all his children could be together, never apart.
puissent être ensemble mais pas de séparation.
And when he passed away, well, that's how we left it. And it's a very strong legacy. He left us with many tools and protections, but most of all, he left us lots of love. We can still feel it today. My brothers and I, we can call each other and stay on the phone for a whole day. For each decision taken for the group, even though I'm the spokesperson, I call my younger brothers, I call my older brothers, my older sisters, and we talk about it. It's very important to look after each other. It's as if it's completely normal anyway, whatever happens. But to us, it's a responsibility and it's normal. That's it.
Dans le livre, donc Lettre à Adama, que vous avez écrit avec
In your book, Letter to Adama, you talk about this family. You talk about this childhood you just described. And so, in the home you grew up in, there were 2 mothers, both your father's wives. In France, that's something that can be surprising. That doesn't necessarily correspond to an idea of marriage deeply rooted in French culture. And still, you talk about it strikingly easily, very naturally. I sense you feel no need to justify your family in the way you describe it. Where does it come from?
Votre famille, ça vient d'où? C'est grâce à quoi?
C'est vrai, on n'a pas été malheureux.
It's true, we're never unhappy. We haven't had an unhappy childhood, and to live like this was just normal to us. I had brothers and sisters, we were together. No one could divide us. It was simply living together, completely normal. And you know, it's cultural. In our culture, we can have 1, 2 wives, and we live in a society where, in Africa, we all live together. Grandparents, aunts and uncles all live together and contribute to the children's education. Everyone has something to say, from the eldest to the youngest, and each individual has a role, and each role is important.
Chaque personne a une place très importante.
So it's just normal to us. We don't feel different. We're a family, we live as such, and I've seen many people, families that live, who have only 1 mother, but in some families, the mother is rejected. People suffer from it because they don't talk things out. Things are kept hidden. Well, we're a family, that's how we grew up, and then my brothers and I, we couldn't even think about living separately.
Et vous parlez de ces 2 mamans, ces 2 autres mamans, enfin les 2 premières.
And you talk about these 2 mothers, these 2 other mothers. I mean, your father's first 2 wives who live outside of Paris. Do you feel that having access to other regions of France added something to your education and the way you grew up?
My father did everything he could so we could see as many things as possible. It was important to him. When he arrived in France, he would tell us about his childhood. He was a very open-minded person. He loved everyone, and their cultures too. So to him, it was very important, and it's never bothered him. So yes, we would go on holidays with Françoise, who's French. There was no questioning it. It also became normal. We never felt that there was anything unusual about us. Just normal. So that's how the Traoré family built itself.
All these feminine role models must give you strength. That's where I wanted to take us. I think it's very powerful in terms of, how can I put it, of being conscious of your femininity.
Of course, but you know, we women have a very important part to play. There's this saying, behind each great man is a woman, and at home, well, they're women. And I think it was my father's pride when he said, you know, I had wives, I had children, but they're all still there and around. We're all part of the same family. And at home, the woman, she plays a very important part. She can become a spokesperson, just like me.
Yeah. That's how you became head of the family at 14. That's what you were saying.
There's no, I'm the man, I'm the one making decisions, I'm the one talking. It's easier for us, and we also see it in our neighborhoods, or even in Africa, where we can easily give a very important role to a woman just by saying, sure you can. There's nothing wrong with it. And indeed, I've learned a lot from all the mothers in my family. I've learned a lot from my mother, I've learned a lot from Auntie, with whom I would be cooking, and when she wasn't there, I would take her place. And I've learned a lot from Françoise, from Elizabeth, from my older sisters. I was very close to my older sisters too. They're in their 40s now. And then, for my father, each child, he absolutely loved his children. He would consider them very highly, and so we all felt really important. So even the youngest and the eldest felt really important through him. Boy or girl, there was no difference. There was no boy having more rights than the girls, or the other way around. We all had our own place.
Chacun avait sa place.
Did you become a woman, or were you rather born one?
Non, j'ai toujours été.
I've always been. Well, I've always been a woman. I've always loved pretty things. I like wearing dresses and nice shoes. And also, I'm a woman because I'm with my brothers, you know. They're my brothers, but there's also this mother role. We have a special relationship. It was... So there's also this side of me that grew. Right away it was, well, there's the older sister part, but there's the woman's part too, that came very quickly because I had to take responsibilities. And today, well, my brothers, I see they do a lot for me too, my family too. And the battle, Adama's battle, it lives thanks to all of this. The family unit is really important. You know, we're fighting the most powerful institutions. I mean, the state and its justice. So when they can't get into your family and destroy it, well, they can't do anything. They can't do anything.
Ils peuvent rien faire.
J'ai lu que vous aviez eu un déclic.
I read that when you were about 10 at school, you met educators from the Judicial Youth Protection who came to talk about their job. And that day it clicked, and you thought, that's the job I want to do. Do you remember how you felt
Vous vous rappelez de votre ressenti ce jour-là?
Ah, je m'en souviens.
Yeah, I remember, I do. It was Mrs. Dumet's class. She was a great teacher, and she... On that day, when they did their presentation, I said, that's what I want to be. And it stayed that way. It's the project I've always been working on. And these two people, a man and a woman, they really did leave a mark on me.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils vous ont dit ce jour-là en classe?
What did they tell you on that day?
Well, they showed you could contribute to help someone to become their better self so that they can be good and happy. And to me, that's crucial. I thought, yes, that's what I want to do. If this job can allow me to do this kind of thing, it will be my job.
Et donc vous avez suivi cette voie.
And so that's the path you chose to follow when you were only 10. You knew it.
Je savais.
I knew it.
Et donc vous avez eu un.
And you graduated in 2007?
Yes.
So about 10 years ago, you started working in Sarcelles with young people. Do you remember what kind of young woman you were at that time, like 10 years ago? What dreams you had? What were your goals?
Quand vous commenciez à travailler à ce moment-là?
I started thinking, I'm going to help all of them. They'll all pull through. I want to be there, and I wished for it. I had this willingness in me. When I started working, I knew I had one job, and this job allowed me to do things the way I wanted and to support these young people. Today, in France, I can see it. They're quite unhappy. We take away their dreams. There's a finger pointed at them, and they can't live their life the way they wish they could. So I wanted to tell them, I want to help. When my brother died, I had just left 2 days before for Croatia with my colleague Sonia. We had taken a group of 16 and 17 years old to Croatia so they could see Europe.
On avait emmené un groupe de jeunes de 16 à 17 ans pour les emmener en Croatie pour qu'ils puissent découvrir l'Europe.
On holiday. It was July, so I guess it was.
On était au mois de juillet et on
It was in July, and we had chosen Croatia because I told my boss, I want them to see Europe. It's also about encouraging them to leave, to think, well, there's many other countries than France. Taking them to Croatia to discover another culture and push them to think, so tomorrow I'll travel to another country. But I had to come back only 2 days into the trip. I didn't stay with them, and that's it. And from there, I never went back to work.
Dans une interview, vous avez dit...
In an interview, you said, these young boys have no voice. They can't contribute to the development of France. They're left in a corner from an early age and directed towards certain specific fields. They're not even seen as human anymore. I guess your work as an educator that you practiced for about 10 years allowed you to better understand what was happening in underprivileged neighborhoods and the discriminations these boys have to endure.
You know, my work as an educator has taught me so many things. If I'm here today, it's also thanks to my work at the Foundation for the Protection of the Jewish Children in Sarcelles. It shaped me. And when I talk about my brother who's been killed in this police station in horrid conditions, and that they try to hide the truth from us, I think, well, it's not only about Adama. We don't want justice only once. Once both policemen will be convicted, it won't be the end of it. My brother died because of a system and a society created around them. Since a very young age, they had a finger pointed at them. They were discriminated. And when the police forces come to our neighborhood, they don't wake up thinking, I'm going to kill Adama Traoré. They're trained, they're shaped to do it. Our society has been building all of this up for years around our neighborhoods, and it's all fantasies, unreal, surreal fantasies. I want to tell them, my brother died because of this. My brother died because of this system. My brother died because of this society. When they come in our neighborhoods, our brothers are seen as, they're not human in the police's eyes. They're not considered people anymore. They see them as people they have to beat up, humiliate, talk down to, rape, and unfortunately kill, just like my brother. My brother died because of all of this. And I want to tell them, but you know, my brother and all these other boys, they have a brain, they have a heart, they can think, they have dreams, and they have their freedom. They wish they could have the freedom to move around without being arrested every 5 minutes. And all these dreams, well, you can't take that away from them. And I want to tell them, they too have the right to contribute to the country, to its development, to its society's development. They're not invisible. Not long ago, I was interviewed on International Women's Day on the 8th of March, and they said to me, Assa Traoré, what are your thoughts on this day? I said, I'm happy that today, as a black woman, I can be heard. It's because people before me fought so that I could have this right. But the question I ask myself is, against which man did they have to fight? Which men? Not the men from our underprivileged neighborhoods, because these powerful men you're talking about, they have control over these men from our neighborhoods and have no respect for them. And I want to say today, we have to create a day for them too, to show the world they're here. They too are part of this society. They're not invisible. I don't get killed, I don't get ID checks every morning, and still, they don't have a voice. They don't even exist. And that's why my brother died. As long as the system stays in place and things don't get balanced again, and they get rights just like anyone else, just like the powerful men against whom we women are fighting, because our rights too are being trampled on, because men who feel more important than us take these rights away from us, I want to say, well, the men from underprivileged neighborhoods have a right to freedom and justice.
We have to fight for their rights too.
That's right.
Adama est mort pour...
To sum it up briefly, and I'm being a bit blunt on purpose, Adama died from an identity check. What is an identity check for a young man from an underprivileged neighborhood?
You know, in our neighborhoods, it's about not being the right color and living in the suburbs. And you get stopped by the police once, twice, up to 5 times on the same day by the same officers. And from there, it becomes a game to them. They start by talking down to you, it turns violent, and it ends up in detention. There's even a double violence, when it ends up in front of the judges. All of this, Adama tried to run from all of this. It was his birthday. He was killed on his birthday. He was turning 24, and he left a twin sister. He tried to run from a violent identity check. Today, our police forces are undisciplined, violent, and mistreat people. They mistreat part of their population, and I want to tell them, if you go on like this, part of the population will just cease to exist. It's this whole thing that we want to stop. This kind of identity checks only leads to death.
Mais parfois les gens qui n'ont pas forcément conscience de la réalité.
But at times people don't know what these young men's daily lives can look like, and they ask, but why did he run away? He could have complied with the policeman and showed his ID. Actually, he didn't have his ID with him. It might be difficult for people who don't know how it is to understand that one might rather run than have to submit once again to that kind of ritual.
Courir plutôt que de devoir se soumettre une énième fois à ce genre de rituel.
You know, when they came to check Adama's ID, you can read it, we watch it in the book. In the car trunk, they had weapons, as if they were going to war. I'm pretty sure in Paris, when they do normal identity check, they're not armed that way. Why are they heavily armed when they come to check our brothers in our neighborhoods? They bring helmets. There's no talking. It's automatically violent. When they come to our neighborhoods, when my brother goes through identity checks, he's not human to them. But he is human. As I was saying, they have a heart, they have feelings. If an unruly police assaulted me on daily basis, I'd escape too. I'd run.
Police indisciplinée, à leur place, je prendrais la fuite aussi. Je courrais.
Il y a un passage dans le livre Lettre à
There's a
Adama.
passage in your book, Letter to Adama, that really deeply moved me, made me cry. I would like to read some of it. Let me find it. There. So Auntie, she's Adama's mother. Auntie just came back from work. She turned down a dinner invitation from her colleagues because she wanted to be with you for your birthday. The moment I tell her you've lost consciousness, I can hear behind her Yacouba on the phone with Samba, who's angry because they can't find you anywhere. Not at the Beaumont hospital, nor in l'Isle-Adam, nor in Pontoise, or even Osny. You were this close to tear the hospital down. His wife, Melissa, has just called the firemen. When they heard your name, they directed her to the police station in Persan. So Auntie and Yacouba decided to go. It's around 9 p.m. She rings at the door and asks, "Is my son here, Adama Traoré?" The policeman replies, "You're here." Auntie is worried. "I've been told he's lost consciousness." The police officer tries to soothe her. No, everything's all right." He's lying. "In fact, you're dead. It's been 2 hours already." That's what's beyond me in your story. For 5 hours, they lied to you. They avoid telling a mother the true facts about her own son. They tried to hide what happened.
On cherche à masquer ce qui s'est produit.
Vous savez, dans l'affaire
You know,
Adama
in
Traoré,
Adama Traoré's case, if we hadn't acted right away, who knows where we would have found my brother? We might even never have found him. Because when my mother went to the police station and asked, "Is my son here?" and they replied yes, and she went on, "Have you called his lawyer?" and they replied yes, she said a thing only a mother who knows how violent they can be. "If anything happens to my son, I'll file a complaint against you." As if she knew that. She knew they could hurt him. And they told her, "No, ma'am, it's late. It's 9 p.m. You can't see your son right now." And 15 minutes later, my younger brother, Shikne, brought 3 sandwiches, and they took them. One for Baggy, who's known in prison for attempted murder after that night. So they took the sandwiches and...
There is one for Adama.
There is.
And they take it, although he's dead.
Yeah, actually he'd been dead for a few hours already. But Beaumont is a small town, less than 1,000 people, and you could feel the tension. You could see many cars coming and going, so everyone go out and came to the police station. And around 11 p.m., my brother Yacouba, who's in prison today because he came outside the police station on that night, they came for him a year later. Well, he came to the police station. He said, "We want to see Adama." They left my family in, and then Then they didn't even have the guts to tell my mother. It's around 11:05 p.m. The death was pronounced at 7:05. And that's how we learned that Adama was dead. And they're army men, policemen that are supposed to protect us. We have policemen from the army that instead bring fear and insecurity. And that's how they told her that her son is dead, although they had already told her twice that he was doing fine. It's inconceivable to us to just stay here and do nothing. What's more, they went on and insulted his name. People will say my brother's a drug addict, that he died drunk on high drugs. We know Adama. He didn't take any of it. We then asked for counter-toxicological expertises. No trace of alcohol, no trace of drugs. Then they said Adama died from heart problems and serious infections. We asked for a counter-autopsy. But you have to know that on the day of the first autopsy, we were called in the prefecture of Cergy-Pontoise and they told us, we know you're Muslim and that in Muslim religion you have to bury corpses 3 days after the death. We have taken the liberty to call Air France and Roissy and Adama's body can leave as soon as tomorrow. If you want to go with him, there's a woman here who will give you a passport immediately.
How mindful, suddenly.
How nice, how kind of them. As if we were going to... I felt like telling them, we all French. Adama, he'll be buried here and have a little respect. And we asked for a second autopsy that showed Adama didn't die of cardiac failure or of any serious infection, but actually from being asphyxiated. Adama had endured the weight of 3 army men on him, almost 250 kilos.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Your defense, what your lawyer is trying to prove in court, is that what caused your brother's death is a technique used by the police forces, a technique forbidden in some other European countries. Can you explain exactly what it is?
Une technique qui est interdite dans certains pays d'Europe. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous expliquer exactement ce dont il s'agit?
Adama was pinned face down to the ground, an immobilization technique that leads to death 99% of the time. It's forbidden in many countries, Belgium, England and other bordering countries, in the US, but it's still used in France. France is still using this lethal weapon, a lethal defense weapon. Today, in our battle for Adama, we're also fighting to have it prohibited. Lamine Dieng died for him, and many others, to name but a few. But that's what Adama went through, and everything I'm telling you here, it's what the policemen told us. We weren't there in that apartment. That's what they're putting forward.
He endured the weight of 3 policemen on his back. This they told you right away.
Yes, right away, almost 250 kilos. They were heavily armed.
No one can survive such a thing from a medical point of view. I mean, what happens when you have 300 kilos on your back? Well, your blood stops flowing and your brain blows up. That's right.
Yes, that's it. And Adama told them, I can't breathe. But they went on. They pulled him to the car. Adama passed out, urinated on himself. And on that day, they had a power of life or death on him. And they decided that Adama was going to die. They decided he wouldn't live. They didn't take him to the hospital less than 200 meters away. They could even have carried him over there. But they decided to take him on a 5-minute car ride to the police station where they didn't take care of him at all. We finally had a hint of the truth when the firemen and the ambulance told us that when they arrived, Adama was handcuffed face down on the floor. So they didn't take care of him. I remind you that they are army men that are supposed to help any citizen anywhere in the world. Today, in the French Republic, we have army men, policemen, who can look at a 24-year-old man die. The fireman kept telling them to take off his handcuff and said, he's 24, we can't let him die like this. And his death was called at 7:05 p.m. And from them, we went through pressures and repression. They'll talk about Baggy. You know, Baggy is the main witness in Adama's death. He's the last one who's seen him alive, and the last that saw him dead in his courtyard. And right afterwards, on the day, on the 19th of July, well, as soon as he died, they took him to another town, to Cergy-Pontoise. So Baggy wouldn't see him, and they let him go around 1 a.m. saying, you can go, your brother's dead. And today, Baggy's charged with attempted murder. He's at risk of a very heavy sentence. That's how they're trying to punish us.
Voilà comment faire payer la famille Traoré.
Pour expliquer un petit peu ce qui s'est produit ensuite.
To sum it up, and I find it quite upsetting, the mayor of Beaumont-sur-Oise at first showed no compassion, not a word of condolences for your family after Adama's death. This triggered violent confrontations around the town. You said it's a small town and that everyone had heard the news very quickly. And obviously, in Adama's circle, there was a lot of anger. You appeared on TV. You accused the mayor to take sides in favor of police brutality. She pressed charges for slander or threatened to do so.
She claimed she'd do it, yes.
That's crazy. And so from there, you went to the town council, which was your right, it's in the law, and you and your family were welcomed by 50 heavily armed policemen. There was your mother, there were children, and they charged at you. They even used tear gas. And your brothers got arrested and accused of brutality against the police after that. 2 of them are still in prison now.
Exactly.
It was important to recall what happened.
You know, today in France, when we say liberty, equality, fraternity, but it's only for part of the population. Today we live in an anti-democratic country. When we want to use our rights as citizens, well, we go to prison. We get beaten up. When they come and try to get my brothers, they're not here for my brothers. They're here for Adama Traoré's brothers. That's the key to it. It's the battle for Adama Traoré's that bothers them. When we come to them, we have to endure relentless pressures proportional to our gathering. They will lock up my brothers for verbal assault and rebellion without evidence. Today, in France, you can go to prison for verbal assault and rebellion without evidence. My brothers will go to the police and ask, "Why are you doing this?" And they'll reply, "Your sister's too loud. She needs to shut up." And we are swept into a masquerade of a trial. A local female officer presses charges for violence, and it turns out she threw a tear gas bomb on herself. Another one will say, "Actually, I got bitten by my dog." And another one will say, "Yes, I heard someone spit on my back, and I was told it was Baggy Traoré. Do you positively recognize the Traoré brothers?" "No, someone showed me their pictures before they arrived." And the court in Pontoise will still sentence my brothers. You know, when we got the 22nd of July and the experts in Paris confirmed what we were saying, that Adama did not die of cardiac failure and serious infections, but was asphyxiated, well, we didn't get there so easily. We left brothers, support in prison along the way, and that's why they wanted to silence us, but we made it.
Lastly, we've also seen police unions call for strikes. There's a general uneasiness in France. We've seen thousands of policemen on the streets demonstrating, exposing their poor working conditions, their insecurity, the psychological distress some of them are in. Do you hear their message? Do you empathize with it?
Vous savez, aujourd'hui, j'ai envie de dire...
You know, today I feel that the government has to take responsibilities. We can't be held responsible for their unhappiness, and they can't make us pay for it. The government has to take responsibility and take care of their police forces, because they're feeling really bad. They should at least be able to correct the system, rethink how the French police works, and see how bad they are doing. But we people living in underprivileged neighborhoods, do we have to be their punching bags? Do we have to suffer too because they are? This unhappiness, do we have to endure it until some of us die? The government has to assume its responsibilities towards all of its citizens, both towards its police forces and towards us.
Que ce soit face à nous et face à leurs forces de l'ordre.
Other families of victims of police brutality have joined your struggle and your demonstrations. Let's mention, well, there's a lot, but most of all, there's Lamine Dieng family. He died in 2007, and Hakim Adjemiz, who died in 2008. What does it mean to you to have their support? How does it feel to be supported by people who went through the same as you?
Vous savez, nous, quand on arrive pas...
You know, when we started it, we didn't start everything from scratch. We were a continuity of their own battle, a battle they have been fighting. Lamine Dieng died 10 years ago, so we're an extension of their battle. When they're with us, well, they have a lot of advice to give, because they've already been through it, and it's a battle we have to fight together. It's not a personal battle. If we win, if they win, we're winning for a whole society.
Si eux gagnent, on gagne pour toute une société.
Un chiffre que j'ai trouvé dans un article.
The New York Times published a figure connecting your group, your action group, and the Black Lives Matter movement, condemning police brutality against black people in the US. That figure was, in Paris, a black or North African person is 6 to 8 times more prone to be stopped by the police than a white person. Is your battle a battle against racism too?
Est-ce que votre lutte est aussi une lutte contre le racisme?
Of course it is. My brother died because he was black, because his name is Adama Traoré and he comes from an underprivileged neighborhood. You know, we're going to go really far. We'll go back to slavery, to colonization, to our living conditions. Of course, it's outright racism. Our brothers get stopped by the police. People get stopped because they're not the right skin color, because they're foreigners. And yes, my brother died because he was black. So it was an act of racism, obviously.
I'd like to add that last February, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights questioned the French government about excessive use of force by the police regarding 3 men of African origins, Adama Traoré, Théo Loaka, and François Béga. I felt it was important to point it out.
Of course it's important.
Adama was buried in Mali, where both your father and grandfather were born. You remind in your book that your grandfather fought for the French army in the Second World War. What is your relationship with Mali?
Entretenez-vous avec le Mali?
Un lien très fort, on y va chaque
A very
année.
close one. We go there every year, and even closer now because Adama's buried there, and my father too. It was important for us that Adama could be with our father. And the relationship between Mali and France, it's a beautiful thing to us. And I think it's a shame that today's French society doesn't take all this cultural wealth as something positive, that it's not turned into something positive, but that France turns it into something negative instead. The French society is the one taking racism into its own country, even though it could be something very strong and powerful if it had been done in another way. We keep a very strong connection, and my grandfather, just like many other Africans' grandfathers, fought for France's freedom, fought so that France could be free. My grandfather contributed to all of this. We say it in the book Letter to Adama. It's crucial to know where you come from, who you are. When you know who you are and where you come from, no one can tell you anything. You may look straight ahead, raise your chin and say, I'm so-and-so, I'm Assa Traoré, I know who I am and where I come from. And this France, it's mine too. Both my grandfathers fought. One lost a leg and the other one died, so that today we can live in a free country.
Aujourd'hui, nous vivons dans un pays libre.
Vous avez complètement changé de vie depuis la mort d'Adama.
Your life has changed completely since Adama's death. You have devoted yourself to the action group. You've always been traveling, giving conferences, talking to people, meeting students and activists. I was wondering how does your family feel about it? Your children? Do they understand your commitment?
Vos enfants, est-ce qu'ils comprennent cet engagement complet?
Yes, when my brother died, I wasn't there, I was in Croatia. My children were with my mother. They lived through the very first seconds, the very first minutes of it. They were there. He was their uncle, and it's rooted in our family. It's normal to them. They cope with it very well. It's just normal, and we explain everything to them.
You talk to your children about what happened?
Yes, of course, a lot. Even the youngest one, he's 3, and he often tells me, why did the policemen kill Uncle Adama? I explain, they're evil policemen and will fight till the evil policemen go to prison. Not all policemen are evil, but some of them are. And we have to get rid of them, away from society, so they can't wear our uniform and represent us anymore. So, yes, I talk about it with my children. It's normal to them. And there's even teachers. Their teachers, some of them support us and join the battle. So, Adama's cause has become a local, national and international affair. But we still live normally. We go to the cinema, we go on holiday, because family is hard work too. In order to maintain a good battle, strong, efficient and reliable, you have to take care of family and live an almost normal day-to-day life.
When you talk, something seems to radiate from you. All the articles that describe you talk about your charisma. They also talk about your beauty, your hair, the way you carry yourself. Is being a woman an asset or a hindrance in your battle?
You know, in France, for centuries, the white man has been fantasizing about black women. And of course, being a woman is an asset, because we're women. And for us women, to be a woman, I believe, is one of the best things. I wouldn't want to be a man. I'm happy I have brothers. But I'm happy I'm a woman. And I think it's true for all women that when you love yourself, you feel good. I don't think being a woman is a real plus, though. You just have to feel good about yourself and love who you are.
But don't you think your words are better received because you're a woman? Because you're not stigmatized in the way the young men you're fighting for can be?
What I want is for my words to be these young men's too. As a woman, yes, I'm a woman. It's probably better received coming from a woman, but that's not what I'm aiming for. I'm doing it for them. My brother's not here to speak anymore. I would have liked him to raise his voice and say, this is what I have to go through. This is what's happening, and this is what we're going to do to change things. As a woman, that's what I want to pass on to them.
Adama has a twin sister named Awa. How is she?
She's fine. She has her ups and downs. She misses her brother very much, and she's fighting too. She lives in the south of France and is doing many interviews. She organizes a lot of things around Adama, and it helps her a lot.
She's a nursing assistant, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
In this program, we often talk about the idea of having a room of one's own, meaning a space where women can be on their own, where they can think and create freely. It's something women don't always have access to. So, do you have a room of your own?
So, I have my own room, but my special place has always been the nighttime, when everyone's asleep. I need to have some time just for me. In my living room, where I sit down. It feels like unloading a burden, and even if I'm tired, even if I'm exhausted, I need this moment. Even though I have my room, each night I need this little moment, just for me. And it's important so I can have a good night's sleep and wake up feeling good.
What does la poudre, the powder, means to you?
When I heard the word la poudre, it made me think of... I don't know, a fairy maybe? I thought of the word fairy. It's both strong and soft, and it's beautiful too, because you can see both something positive and something powerful in la poudre, and those are beautiful connotations. And I believe each woman has a bit of la poudre in her. Something fairy-like in us, something explosive, and something soft in us. We all powders in different ways. Each woman has her powder. That's what I think about when I hear the word la poudre.
Thank you so much, Assa Traoré.
Thank you for having invited us so we could talk about our battle for my brother, and I hope everyone will read the book Letter to Adama. It's easy to find.
And all profits are directed to support your battle.
Yes, of course, because the battle is... money is the sinews of war. Without money, we can't make any progress. So yes, the book Letter to Adama, which you can find in all libraries on internet, is directed to support part of the battle and other expenses.
The legal expenses are extremely high, and that too is a source of discrimination.
It's important to know that the Traoré family has to pay for contempt and insult charges over 10,000 euros. We also have 3 lawyers and we have to pay them. So yes, the book Letter to Adama, we hope it will be read all over France and all over the world, and we hope you'll contribute in the way you choose to the battle. We've also opened an online kitty for our association if people want to make a donation and support us in our battle. This way we can make progress in the charging and convicting of these policemen.
This is very important. Thanks for reminding us, Assa.
Thank you.
Thank you to Assa Traoré for speaking up in La Poudre. Nouvelles Écoutes is the executive producer of La Poudre, a podcast produced by Aurore Meyer-Mailleux. Our special thanks to Sarah Martins for her voice in English. Thanks to Lucie Pleskov for the translation. The English dubbing is made by Laurie Galigani and mixed by Marion Emery.